Let us start with today's lecture. The first part of code optimization I had described in the previous video lectures. Okay, in the last class I had taught about loops and flow graphs. Today we will begin with some principal sources of optimization. So what is basically meant by the sources of optimization? In our code, some most useful code improving transformations can be introduced. So if we improve our code, then the sources, the codes may be optimized, and thus we may be able to, the compiler may be able to generate some intermediate code in a very efficient way. So the techniques for implementing these transformations are presented in this part of principal sources of optimization. And a transformation is basically called local if it can be performed by looking only at the statements in a particular basic block. Otherwise, it is a global transformation. So the basic thing what we are going to study in this video lecture is first about the function preserving transformations, which is mainly dealing with the common sub-expressions, copy propagation, how to eliminate dead code, and the loop optimizations deal with code motion and induction variables and reduction in string. So by this term, function preserving transformation, it is very easy to understand what is basically meant by function preserving transformation. We are going to deal over here with several kinds of transformations which will help us in optimizing our source code. So first is function preserving transformations. In function preserving transformations, we have a number of ways in which a compiler can improve a program without changing the function it is computing. Okay, so some of the common function preserving transformations are common sub-expression elimination, copy propagation, dead code elimination. Okay, so these are some of the common function preserving transformations. So what is meant by common sub-expression elimination? From this term common sub-expression, you can understand that it is dealing with some expression which is common in some parts. So we can say it like this, like that an occurrence of an expression is called a common sub-expression if it previously was computed and the values of the variables have not changed since the previous computation. We can avoid recomputing the expression if we can use the previously computed value. For example, you can see one example given over here in this basic block B5, where there are some common sub-expression. You can identify the common sub-expression. See over here, the assignments to T7 and T10 have a common sub-expressions. What are the assignments to T7? Basically, we have already previously computed 4 into I, we have stored it in T6. So we need not compute this T7 once more. This temporary variable T7 need not be used one more time. Similarly, in T10, this 4 into j also had been computed previously and had been stored in T8. So we need not compute the value of 4 into j one more time. So we can easily eliminate these two expressions, which is the common sub-expression. First is this, T7 is equal to 4 into I, and the second is T10 is equal to 4 into j. So if we eliminate these two expressions, then the code will be modified as such. Okay, see over here, only one time the value of 4 into I is computed and it is stored in the temporary variable T6. Similar for 4 into j, it is stored in T8, the temporary variable. And the rest of the assignments previously we were using over here, instead of a T7, we are going to write a T6 is equal to T9. So as the value of 4 into I is stored in T6, previously also 4 into I was stored in T6 as well as in T7, and then a T7 is equal to T9 was written. So instead of writing a T7, we are writing a T6. The code is performing the same computation, only we are eliminating the common sub-expressions. Okay, so what is happening after the expression is eliminated, the common sub-expression is eliminated, that we are able to optimize our source code. So this is one basic technique for code improving function preserving transformations. Okay, this is the common subexpression elimination. This is the example of your flow graph for quicksort, which I had shown in the last lecture. So you can see over here there are 6 basic blocks. So the basic block over here, it was this one only, this basic block B5. So this basic block was given over here. So if we eliminate the common subexpressions, see over here basic block B5 is containing some common subexpression which is 4 into I. This T7 and T10 is being eliminated. Similarly in B6 also we are having some common subexpression. Okay, so this shows this diagram shows the result after we are eliminating some of the common subexpressions. Okay, so basically if you follow this flow chart, flow graph very carefully, you can see over here 4 into I is previously stored. If we follow from the first, we see B1, B2. 4 into I is first computed and stored in T2, and hence after that the value of T2 is not changed. So T2 is also already storing 4 into I. Okay. Similarly for 4 into J, T4 is storing the value of 4 into J, and the value of T4 is remaining unchanged since up to this B5 and B6. So we can use this values of T2 and T4 itself in B5 and B6 for further computations if we have anything. So this only can be treated as our, instead of, if we were over here, we were just showing you one example. Over here one example was given how to just eliminate your common subexpression, and over here if the whole flow graph is given to you, you have to see from the beginning which portion is having your this common subexpression. So if this common subexpression, this 4 into I is previously calculated, then and it is stored in some temporary variable, and that temporary variable is not modified, then we can use that temporary variable later also. So if the changes are done in different basic blocks, if one basic block is only changed, then that is some local transformation. Okay, but if the changes are occurring over the whole flow graph, then those changes can be considered as global changes. So global common subexpressions are being eliminated, and the results are shown in this. Okay, see over here we are storing this over here, this 4 into I, this is being stored in this over here. Okay, so now we can see that this T3 over here, A, T2, this whole thing, this X, means we are not only dealing the common subexpressions which is considering 4 into I, but also this A, T6, all the common subexpressions are being eliminated. Okay, so after the local common subexpressions are eliminated, B5 still evaluates this same thing, as well as B6 is also still evaluating the same thing. So after common subexpression, we can find that our code is being reduced. The next common function preserving transformations, they are dealing with your copy propagation. So the block B5 in the previous slide, the block B5 after the common subexpression is like this. So it can be further improved by eliminating X using some two new transformations. One is concerned with the assignments, which is of the form F is equal to G. These kind of assignments are called copy statements, or copies for short. You can tell just copies, and use this new variable in the further steps. The idea is that if there is a statement F is equal to G, then from the next step onwards, we can, the copy propagation transformation is to use G for F. Means if we have any statement like F is equal to G, then from the rest of the code, we can, wherever we see this F, we can use G for that. Okay, so if we see over here X is equal to T3, if this is considered a copy statement, then we see over here x is used. So instead of using x over here, we can use what? T3. So f is equal to g, then we can use g for f. So x is equal to T3, so we can use T3 for x. So the copy propagation function will change the code as such in the block, in the basic block B5 can be changed to as such. X is equal to T3. So a T2 is equal to T5. Instead of a T4 is equal to x, we can write this T3. Okay. So this is another function preserving transformation. The next function preserving transformation is dead code elimination. A variable is said to be live at a point if its value can be used subsequently, otherwise it is called dead. The related idea that it is dead or useless code means that the statements that compute values will not ever get used. So while the programmer is unlikely to introduce any dead code intentionally, it may sometimes appear as a result of your previous transformations. So if you see over here that by this statement, if debug print means if the value of debug is true, then print, otherwise not. Okay, so if by data flow analysis, it may be possible that each time the value of the this variable debug is always false before the program reaches this line. Okay, so the last assignment to debug, prior to this assignment, if we check, then it is, if it is always false, then it will not ever reach this line, because this line will never be printed, it will never be true. If debug is equal to false, always it is assigned, then the value, this if debug print, it will not be of any use, right? So these two lines, if debug print and debug equal to false, these two lines, they are of no such use. Debug will always be false, and you will not be able to reach this if debug print. If debug equal to false each time, just before this line, if this line is coming first, and after that you come to this line, so this value is never true. Debug is always false. So these two lines become useless. So it is can be referred to as useless code or dead code. So we can eliminate both the lines for our advantage of optimizing our source code. So this kind of elimination is known as dead code elimination. Okay, so moving on to our next transformation, which is loop optimization. Loops are very important places for optimizations, especially the inner loops, where programs tend to spend the bulk of their time, and the running time of the program may be improved if we decrease the number of instructions in an inner loop. There are three techniques for loop optimization, which is first is the code motion, which moves the code outside of a loop. Next is induction variable elimination, and the third is reduction in strength. So firstly, I will make you understand what is meant by code motion. Okay, code motion is an important modification which decreases the amount of code in a loop. This transformation takes an expression which will yield the same result independent of the number of times a loop is being executed, and places the expression just before the loop. So over here you can see that this while I is less than limit minus 2. So this computation is done once inside the starting of the loop. Always when you go inside, this limit minus 2 is being checked. So if instead of this computation always before starting of a loop, if we store the value of this limit minus 2 in some other temporary variable, then always this computation need not be done. So this kind of transformations where the computations are being reduced, and instead of being placed inside our loop, it is placed outside of our loop. Okay, so what I told previously, that which moves the code outside a loop. So this code, this limit minus 2, it is moved outside of a loop, need not be checked inside a loop always, because the value of limit minus 2 is same always. Limit, if the value of limit is changed inside the loop, that is a different thing. But if it's not changed always inside a loop, the limit value remains same, then we need not calculate limit minus 2 always at the beginning of our entry of a loop. It can be stored in another variable. So this kind of modifications, you already are familiar with this kind of modifications because you are already capable of writing C code, Java code, all things you know, just there are some different techniques which you knowingly apply to your code. Okay, so the terms, the code motion, this dead code elimination, these terms may not be known to you, but you already apply it to your code for getting optimized source code, right? So it's very simple. Code motion is a part of loop optimization. Next, we move on to the induction variable and reduction in strength. Okay, so basically induction variables are found in this blocks, basic blocks B2 and B3. So induction variables are those variables which can be eliminated from our loops. Already we know what induction variables are. Just I will give you one example and it will be clear. Okay, so induction variable elimination, the example if we consider over here. Okay, firstly let us check out what is reduction in strength. The values over here, you see the loops are usually processed inside out. For example, if you consider the loop around B3, the values of J and T4, they remain in a lockstep, because every time the value of J decreases by 1, the value of T4, it is also decreasing by 4, because 4 into J is assigned to T4. Such kind of identifiers, they are called induction variables. When there are two or more induction variables, it may be possible to eliminate one by the process of induction variable elimination. So if we consider over here the relationship T4 is equal to 4 into J, it surely holds after such an assignment to T4, and T4 is not changed elsewhere, okay, in the inner loop around P3. It follows that just after the statement J is equal to J minus 1, the relationship between this T4 is 4 into J minus 4. This must hold. So we may therefore replace the assignment T4 is equal to 4 into J by T4 minus 4. So over here you see the computation is the same, the results will be the same, but over here you see that this T4 is equal to 4 into J is moved up, right? So this problem is only one, and it is solved by when we enter the block B3 for the first time, we are just have to compute this value. So this 4 into J is moved up, okay, and since we can maintain the same relationship, we can just change the multiplication operation to your some lower operation by a subtraction or by addition, if it is possible. So this kind of replacement of exponential operation with multiplication operation, or by multiplication with some subtraction operation, which will help us in speeding up our operations, this kind of optimizations is known as reduction in strength. So the replacement of a multiplication by a subtraction will help us speed up the object code if multiplication takes more time than addition or subtraction. So now let us understand what is meant by this induction variable. So after reduction in strength is applied to the inner loops around B2 and B3, the only use of I and J is to determine the outcome of the test in block B4. Okay, in block B4, this if I is greater than equal to J, only function left for I and J is this. Okay, so we know the values of I and T2, both these values of I and T2, they satisfy the relationship T2 is equal to 4 into I, while those that of J and T4, they also satisfy the relationship 4 into because T4 is equal to 4 into J, okay. So if instead of I is greater than J, this checking instead of this checking, if we just check something else, this T2 is greater than equal to T4, and if we eliminate the values, if we eliminate the variables I and j, which are basically the induction variables in the later part, this I is storing m minus 1. This is the flow graph for quick sort only. We are going on optimizing that. So I is equal to m minus 1 and j is equal to n. The other roles of I and j after this was only I is greater than equal to j. The values of I and j are being stored in T2 and T4, 4 into I, 4 into j. So if I is greater than equal to j is tested, we can also test like this: T2 is greater than T4. T2 and T4 are being used later also, but I and j are not used later. So we are just, instead of doing this checking with I and j, we are just introducing this check with T2 and T4. So once this replacement is made, instead of this block B2, I and j in block B2 and B3, in this block B2 and B3, this B2 block and B3 block. So previously, if you see in block B2 and B3 what was there, let us check once. See over here, I was this I plus 1, j is equal to j minus 1. Okay, so in blocks B2 and B3, I and j now become dead variables, and assignment to them in these blocks become dead code that can be eliminated, because basically this I and j, they are not just used for checking. J is equal to j minus 1, I is equal to I minus, this kind of code is being modified, but the operations remain the same. Okay, only operations remain the same, only the variables are being eliminated. So the code improving transformations are being shown over here. So first, what we have learned is what are the principal sources of optimization. So the principal sources of optimization are mainly the function preserving transformations and the loop optimizations. So function preserving transformations mainly deal with common sub-expression elimination, and next is copy propagation, dead code elimination, loop optimization. Code motion comes under loop optimization, and induction variables and reduction in strength are also coming under code optimization. So the code improving transformations have been dealt with some effectiveness, and the number of instructions in the basic blocks are reduced. So if we are able to reduce our basic block instructions, then it means we are able to reduce our code also, thus giving it an optimized form. Okay, so in this chapter code optimization, we are left with p-pole optimization, which is an important topic. So in the next lecture, I will start with p-pole optimization. Okay, thank you.